Was Bernie Sanders actually screwed by the DNC in 2016? The biggest unfair thing was superdelegates pledging for Clinton early in the primary campaign. Public perception was that Clinton held a commanding lead before many states even held their votes. This could be seen as the Democratic establishment choosing the candidate instead of letting the people decide in state votes. It's not literally the DNC, but the people who were superdelegates are all party bigwigs and made up the majority of important DNC membership, so it's basically the same thing. The backlash against this was so strong. It caused a rules change at the convention where Bernie lost, to prevent the same thing from happening again. Now superdelegates are awarded based on state primary results in the first round at the convention, and then are free to vote for whomever if there's a second round. There's also the angle where the DNC was broke and basically took a huge loan from the Clinton campaign in exchange for some control of DNC's role in that primary season. But it's not clear what, if any, decisions were made differently by the DNC as a result that would have hurt Bernie. Polyunsaturated candidate? This is a novel political term. Federal Judge William Zalak dismissed the lawsuit after several months of litigation during which DNC attorneys argued that the DNC would be well within their rights to select their own candidate. https observer.com/2017/08/ Court admits DNC Andy Debbie Wasserman Schultz Riged Primaries against Sanders / Screwed is a strong word. But the DNC had a very clear preference for Clinton over him in the primaries, which was to be expected. The Clintons were the standard bearers for the party for decades, and Sanders only formally joined the party to run on the Democratic ticket and then left again immediately afterwards. It seems weird to support a candidate that promises to upend the establishment and to act surprised when the establishment doesn't support them. That's like the whole point. Outsider candidates have advantages of their own. They don't have to answer for past decisions nearly as much as establishment candidates. They look new and exciting and have more grassroots support. They are more appealing to disaffected voters and independents. It was the job of Bernie to use those advantages to overcome the advantages Hillary had. He instead got thumped in the South. I voted for him, and still think he would have been a great president. But there's no conspiracy there. And he made a ton of tactical and strategic mistakes in appealing to all parts of the Democrat coalition, particularly black voters. There is too much revisionist history in these comments. People are going to believe what they want to believe and their minds are set. Low-level party insider. For what it's worth, progs don't have the numbers inside the party. There's about a 40-60th split, overgeneralizing, between progs and libs, centrists. They will never ever have the numbers. They must build coalitions from the libs and the centrists in order to win. Progs usually won't compromise towards the center to maintain their progressive cred and for their belief structure. And progs only show up to vote when a prog darling is in the mix, and they spend most of their time railing against the party, so the party usually isn't super enthused about having to bow to people who always threaten to hold their votes hostage in every single election, while we fight Nazis. For what it's worth, I am a prog and was a Bernie supporter. But I like to win, and my pragmatism has me always supporting the leftistish candidate most likely to win. Lol at this whole thread full of DNC shills, not mentioning the leak emails and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/2016 Democratic National Committee Malik. The Democratic Party that hates him made him the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. Bernie polled great in very blue states NY and Cali and terribly in purple states. He also did not expect to be used by Russian internet trolls to make people stay home. Long after he dropped out and put his support behind Clinton. Around July, Mueller and his team who, in February 2018, secured an indictment against a slew of Russian nationals and companies for creating and using a network of fictitious online personae to flood social media platforms with content meant to boost the chances of Sanders and the N candidate Donald Trump. https www.independent.co UK/voices/Bernie Sanders campaign Russia bot Strollsbros 2020 election a 935-2026.html. In 2020, Bernie played it much safer and dropped out by April. Polyunsaturated? Read the DNC WikiLeaks. No, he is not a member of the Democratic Party and only caucuses with the Democrats. The DNC had no reason to work for him and even less than zero reason to help him over a long time. Democratic member and fundraiser. I caucused for Bernie in 2016. No, he was great at getting students and retired people out to caucuses, but was weak in primaries. He had no chance of getting the nomination, even without the superdelegate system which was designed to prevent insurgent candidates like him and Trump from gaining the nomination. I caucused for him because I felt that his issues needed to get mainstream exposure, which is precisely what happened. The Democratic Party platform has become significantly more progressive as a result of his candidacy in 2016. The big problem with Bernie were his supporters. The disruption they caused over a single delegate at the Nevada State Caucus pretty much killed his candidacy with rank-and-file D voters. Democracy requires following the rules even when you don't like the outcome in order to function. A lot of Bernie voters didn't understand that, and still don't. Bernie bros and MAGA share one thing in common. They believe numbers of people at rallies or vocal online support equals votes. I remember this point where a lot of openly Democrat cable news personalities suddenly started going negative on him. It felt really weird because before many of them seemed supportive of him. It was around the same time that the head of the DNC made it clear she was a Hillary stan, and Hillary started playing dirty when they had been having a very clean fight beforehand. To be honest, I never expected Bernie to win. I just wanted him to be successful enough that the DNC is swayed to be a little more socialist in an attempt to garner votes. If they had just let things run their course, I think it would have been fine. It was pretty obvious Bernie was gonna lose and there would have been fewer bitter feelings for her. Everyone keeps talking about the superdelegates, which is completely fair, but no one has seemed to mention how the DNC leadership was essentially trying to give Clinton the edge by giving her the debate questions beforehand. https www.cbsnews.com/news/DNC interim chairwoman pass a debate questions along to Clinton campaign / So yes, the DNC was pulling for Clinton and in some cases hindering Bernie. Emo. No, Bernie was not screwed. He was offering pie-in-the-sky solutions that never would have passed in the Senate, let alone in the House if embarrassments. Bernie talks a good game but has a really sad record for as many years that he served. This was a big story in the New York primary, specifically Brooklyn, where Bernie had a strong showing. More than 100,000 voters were purged from the voter rolls, essentially handing Brooklyn to Hillary and giving her a win in the state. At the time, had she lost her home state, it would have been over for her campaign. https www.motherjones.com/politics/2016/04/New York primary voter purge/ Okay, so I watched the Nevada caucus live, which decided who the candidate was, and the votes were overwhelmingly for Bernie, and it was called for Hillary. The caucus members were outraged, and the next day the New reported that the Bernie folks were being little bitches. It was totally fixed. Also, I wish I had the foresight to record it, because I can't find the video on the internet anywhere. It was on YouTube for a while. Nope. If even half of the people who supported Sanders actually voted, then he would have been in a better position, but they didn't. Additionally, populists don't work as well on the left here in America, because since we're the intellectual side, you need to be able to answer impossible questions. For example, this is where Sanders lost my vote. He was asked how he would get any of his campaign promises past a Republican Congress. The answer is he absolutely could not. But instead he said people would need to march in the streets.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.